Nothing but truth.
Nothing but truth.
On AFR Talk.
Welcome back. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth, proudly on AFR Talk. Top of the hour. The story that, and probably the biggest story, arguably the biggest story the media has missed over the last 5 years, the persecution of Christians in the Muslim world. Dr. Bruce Thornton reviewing a book by Raymond Ibrahim. He's going to be with us at the top of the hour, and we're going to talk about things. I mean, some of the things that you will hear, even with the outstanding reporting we do right here on AFR Talk through One News Now, onenewsnow.com. They can't possibly cover it all. And the extent of it. There's also, in this article, Professor Thornton lays out a victory plan against the enemy that we are facing in the Islamic world. And it wasn't a big part of it, but he hits it. Very interesting. So that's at the top of next hour. And then we'll get your thoughts on Christie versus Paul and the latest development. It involves SUDS, an offer of SUDS. Yes. Right now, I wanted to get your thoughts on the coming decision and debate regarding the debt ceiling. Now, the way Mike Lee, Marco Rubio, Rand Paul have gone about, I believe Rubio's in this, and maybe I shouldn't cite that, but I read that today, and very interesting take, but it's the idea that they'll defund Obamacare. This is the chance to take down Obamacare completely. Not going to raise it. They're going to defund Obamacare. That's the price. The other strategy comes from Tom Coburn, Senator Coburn, which is delay the implementation of the individual mandate and the exchanges, setting those up. By the way, the employer mandate that was delayed has the price tag on that Jay Carney couldn't answer the other day. It's $12 billion. $12 billion. The bill itself, or excuse me, the law itself is almost at its height of disapproval, unpopularity, if you want to put it that way. And so there's some momentum there. The fear, and this is what some are saying, and I would say the establishment certainly is saying this, is if we go to a government shutdown, we'll lose our momentum. We, being the conservatives, and specifically the Republican Party in this case, not me, they'll lose their momentum, and it's falling apart on its own, so why do we want to take that risk? It'll 95-96. But Mike Lee, Senator Lee, makes a very compelling case to say, we do it now. We defund it now. This is the fight we must have. Cut number 1, roll it.
In this body who are in fact opposed to Obamacare, I ask you, how can you oppose to be against it and yet fund it? And so I would invite you to consider the possibility that what you're doing in thinking about funding it isn't really where you want to go. Consider what might be said about this. Defund it or own it. If you fund it, you're for it.
I think it's a great way to characterize it. Fantastic way to characterize it. If you fund it, you're for it. The senator continued to outline and detail why this needs to be defunded. Roll it.
This law, Mr. President, was enacted without a meaningful opportunity for the members voting on it to read it. 2,700 pages long. After it was enacted into law, it was rewritten A total of 4 times, twice by the Supreme Court of the United States, twice more by the President of the United States. The President's rewrites came just a few weeks ago, the Supreme Court's rewrites over a year ago. But what the President did was acknowledge that this law is not ready for prime time. This law is not ready to implement. This law is not one that he's willing to implement as written. He's going to implement and enforce it selectively, holding hardworking Americans, individuals and families to the fire while throwing a big bone to big business. This, Mr. President, is not acceptable. This, Mr. President, is un-American. This, Mr. President, is not something that those of us who purport to be against Obamacare can support by funding it. And so I invite my colleagues to join me in this cause, to vote to fund government, but not Obamacare. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
So that's how they fund government. Now, you'll hear the hysterical claims that the shutdown of government. Let's just address some of those and then let's open the phone lines and ask the question, what do you do? Do you go Senator Lee's route to fund it and provide funding for the government? Delay it. The individual mandate and the exchanges, those are the subsidies going in and plugging in. Once they're in, like a dope dealer, boom, they're very hard to get rid of. It makes the task even harder. Plus, the exchange is being set up very difficult, falling apart on its own, arguably won't be ready for October deadline to meet that. So, defund, delay, or just keep spending. 1-888-589-8840. 1-888-589-8840. Now, let's go to debt ceiling 2, electric boogaloo. It will be the same arguments you will hear if people won't get their Social Security checks. I want you to think about somebody who would threaten seniors with that kind of statement, knowing that it's false. Knowing that it's false. The president did that. What kind of person does that? I mean, do you ever watch those crimes on tape where they video camera picks something up like that? Yeah, 1-888-589-8840. Pardon me. 888-589-8840. And you see somebody who's vulnerable. I mean, I get pretty chipped regardless of the victim. But when they're the elderly or a senior citizen, what do you think of people who threaten and scare those people? That's exactly what the left has been doing. That's reality. They know those things are going to be covered, but they use that. 1-888-589-8840. So, delay, defund, or just raise the ceiling and raise taxes. That's pretty much what President Obama is getting out of this, because the McCain-Graham camp are saying, hey, we will accept the fact of lifting the sequester on the military and will allow for tax increases. Yeah, that's what the other part of this is. Let's go to Mac in Alabama. Mac, thank you for your patience. Welcome. What do you think? Delay, defund, or just keep spending?
I honestly think it should be defunded and completely taken out. In the 90s, didn't Clinton shut down didn't the government close for like 5 or 7 days and save the country a lot of money?
Yeah, but how that was, the impact of that was that the Republicans got blamed for the government shutdown. And that's the loss. And they felt that in the presidential elections and subsequent congressional elections. So here's the question, Mac, and I'll get you back on, and then we'll go to Susan in New Mexico. The question is, do you think you can win with the strategy of defunding the government? Do you think America will buy into it and it won't impact the party in the sense of losing more seats in the House and Senate? Mac?
Well, I think that on a large scale, I think that defunding it is the right thing to do. However, with everything that's going on in terms of voting and the brainwashing our country is going through, I think that it's really a toss-up. And again, it goes back to the people in general, because they have to have the common sense on what they know needs to be done for this country.
Mac, well said.
And what they have the power to do.
Yeah. And we're kind of negotiating against ourselves as conservatives between delay and defund. And see, that's the left is very good at, unconsciously, we don't even realize that's what we're doing. We're going to take out the big threat with the compromise threat. And I understand it because there are good people involved. I think we're always coming from a point of weakness. And as Lee just clearly articulated, hey, this is our chance, but we got to make the case. And imagine if the Republican Party were unified behind that. There'd be some power. There'd be some pump. Susan, New Mexico, thank you for your patience. Welcome. What do you think? Hi.
Well, this defunding thing just doesn't sound right to me, because the people in D.C. ignore all the laws that we have on the books already. Why do they think that if that's not going to, if it's defunded, that's not going to be ignored too? Somebody should have, killed the law, Obamacare, in the first place. But
Susan, appreciate your phone call. Yeah, shoulda, coulda, woulda. We saw the process that enabled this to get passed, and the Republicans have used that in the past too, to be fair. Bottom line, it doesn't have America's support, and if you defund it, well, if the money isn't there, you can't enact it. But it's already falling apart, which Tom Coburn was making the case today. Hey, it's falling apart. Just delay it. It's a winner. We'll see. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth, proudly on 8FR Talk.